Welcome to Yeshiva Daf. We're holding in Zevachim Daf Gimel. Now, as one line to say, beginning of this daf, is that this daf is not an easy daf. And it's efshur, that, it's like a test. You want to learn Zevachim? Handle Daf Gimel. You handle Daf Gimel, you can continue on. It's like they're checking your strength. There's no Gemaras over here. I don't have no clue where. If there isn't. I have to go downstairs, maybe.
Thanks.
So, careful, yeah. But so we are going to have. It's not an easy daf. We don't have a lot because we went forward and in the base with the two dots. Let's take it, line by line. Be'ez Hashem will be good. So look, we're starting the two dots, which is basically a third down the Gimel Daf. Gimel Daf, the two dots. The line starts with the word L'chol Adam, and then there's two dots, and it says two. See it, two. Gimel Daf.
Yeah, I know, but this article is screwed up there.
Two Rami Mil Soachrisi. He asked something else. Who asked something else? Yeah, who asked something else? Meaning, Rava was asking questions. Remember, we started the sugya in the previous daf. The Rava on Shabbos asked some good questions tonight. So there was another question he asked. Did he say that chatos that was shechted l'shem oilo, you took a korban chatos, you shechted for the purpose of oilo? Puzzle. Why is it puzzle? So we learn korban chatos that you shech for the wrong purpose, it ruins it. Chatos you cannot shech shalosh shva, it's ruined. That's chatos. But l'shem chulin ksheru. Why l'shem chulin ksheru? Get closer. The camera didn't see. Yeah. L'shem chulin ksheru. What's l'shem chulin ksheru? L'shem chulin. If you did a korban chatos and you did l'shem chulin, meaning you had in mind doing it not for a korban, that's kosher. What do you see from here? Very interesting thing. Meaning, in order to ruin something, it has to be the same type. It has to be the same type. It can't be something which has nothing to do with each other. In order to ruin the korban, it needs to be another korban. If you think of chatos and you think oila, it ruins it. But if I think of chatos, I think of something which is not a korban at all. It's not mino, it's not its min, it doesn't ruin it. That's like more as attempting to say right now. Very mini, he asked more question. Call a get shenichtav shelo lishima ish pasul. If you want to get for not the right kavanah, for the right woman, you want for a different woman, it's possible. Va'afilu shem Yechezkel v'nai pasul. Even for not a non-Jewish woman, the person want to get, and he had in mind for a non-Jewish woman, it's possible. So what is bothering the Gemara? You just said that only thing that can ruin it has to be something which is the same type. So if you have, instead of Rachel, Leah ruins it. Instead of Rachel, you have Christina, that should not ruin it. Has to be Mina. So the most shiny get, Da'alevis kachovi minei, Havel estomo, the stoma apostle. So 1 second. Let's just think about it. Let's assume the Goysa is not here. Let's say I did Rachel. Instead of doing a get for Rachel, I did not do it for Christina. I just did it for Parv. No thought at all. Not for Rachel. Is it kosher? So how we learned the previous daf. Stoma, if I don't have a specific thought, what is it? It's possible. By get, if I don't do an active lishma, you don't have a get. So if I forget about Christina right now, forget about the one who's not Jewish, and I didn't have it in mind. Let's say I did nothing. Parv. It's also possible. So mainly, if I did it for the Yechezkel, it's not because it's a goy, so the person on this, because it's not for the Isha. Kachim da'chulim minay aval istama so go back to the sugya. By kachim we learn if you do it be stama, it's kosher. Stama kachim is kosher. See, it's kosher. If I take away, if I say chulin is not poisel, it means I didn't do it for something else. If I didn't do it for something else, what did I do? I just had stama. Stama is kosher. Okay, so that was stage one with that analogy. The Ram Mil Sachris, he had another question. Didn't we just learn? If you do chatas for oilo, then it's kosher. You do it for chulin, it's possible. If you do it for chulin, it's fine. That's what we just mentioned. So that means the only thing that could ruin it. It's only the same type, not different type, as we just said. V'atanyo. Haraisa. Toicho v'loi toich toicho. V'afilu klishetev matzil. Right? Meaning, if I have a tumor in a kli, the pasuk says, if I have a kli cheres, I have a vessel made out of clay, and in the kli cheres I have a sheretz, and there's something else which is in the kli, they all become tummy. Why do they become tummy? The having kli becomes tummy. That's only toichoy, not toich toichoy. What's toich toichoy tell me? If I have a vessel within a vessel, within the kli cheres I have another vessel. So, and that other vessel, Rashi adds over here, it's not closed, but it's sticking out of the kli. So I have a cup.
There's no avi area.
There's no avi area. I have a cup, and the cup is still going into this cup, and it's like this. So then, whatever is in this kli is bat, because it's not toicha, it's toich toicha, right? It's a kasha. So vafilu klishetev matzil. What's a klishetev? Not only if it's a cheres within a cheres, clay within a clay, but even klishetev means not cheres, because cheres, the reason why I use this lotion, cheres mitame only mitoicho name gaber. This is what we're talking on the other side, right? But a kli cheres is not mitame from the other side. Klishetev is something which is not cheres, does get tumor from its back, but here it does not. Why? Because in order for a kli, because kli doesn't get tumor from a kli. Kli gets tumor from a sheretz. Kli gets here. It's in the kli of the cheres. You want it to become tumor because it's in the cheres. Kli doesn't get tumor from a cheres. Yeah, for sure. Touch is right, but it doesn't touch. That's what it is. So it says over here. So if you have.
What if it wasn't?
So then we don't have a din of toicha. The idea of toicha that anything inside the kli becomes tummy is only kli cheres. The first kli. So now he's saying if I have a sheretz and I have another thing in the kli, it makes it tummy. If I have a sheretz and I have a separation and I have another kli, the kli is separating it. Even a kli shetif, even if it's not cheres. The sheretz is in the outer kli.
I'm asking, what if it's in there?
No, I don't think it doesn't spread out. I don't think it spreads out. I don't think so. Now, so what do you see? You see over here the lav minoi, meaning a klishetif, which is not cheres, becomes a separation by a cheres. Didn't you just say that only min b'minoi works, right? So look at Loshen Rashi. Rashi in the first wide line in the bottom, or in the middle. Meaning I can use in order to make a separation in klicheres, not only cheres. You see that something which is not the type can stop it. So why? What compares it? If I do kodesh l'shem chulin, it's not the same type, but it should stop it. Says the Gemara shiny. Answer the Gemara. Also, chulin etzel kochim kemechitzo etzel tana. So I'll tell you why. Chulin compared to kochim is not a kli within a kli. It's a mechitzo within a kli. Meaning, let's say I have a kli, and within the kli I have a little mechitza in between. I have a little wall in between, right? It doesn't help. It doesn't help. If I have a one kli, and in the kli I have a wall in between that separates the sheretz and the food, that doesn't make it do anything. Only if it's a toich, only if it's a kli. But if it's a mechitza, nothing. So we say like this: chulin compared to kachim is like a wall within a kli. Ma it's a tan. Ma mechitza satan. We have a wall within the tan. Lo me'ani leklal doesn't do anything. Av chulin to kachim lo me'ani leklal. Then it doesn't do anything. Then nan, I'll bring you a raya. Tanur shechotzoy b'nesorim or b'yiris. You have a tan, you have an oven, and you made in the middle some wooden wall in between. That's the sorry. Or your ears, you use clothing. You have shirts on one side of the tanner. Everything goes down. We have another example. In Kaveris. Kaveris is a beehive. Shipchuso upkuko, which means it's not a kli. That's what the Rashi points out. It's broken, so it's not a kli. Because if it would be a kli, it would be matzil, because a kli stays from a kli. Upkuko bekash, it has a seal of straw. Umeshushed la'avirtan, you put it into an oven. Sheretz betoicho, if the sheretz is in the kli, in the beehive, hatanu tome. Sheretz betanu, or chlushim betochet meim. Why? It's not a chatzitza, because it's not a kli. Rabloza metan. Rabloza holds the story. So what is the Gemara saying? We're saying, so, in the kaveres, the last case. So let's say the last two cases, because they go together. The Gemara is saying like this: we have a rule that when I have a kli, betoch kli, the tumah doesn't go. It's a special example because of toich v'lo toich toich. So it has to be sticking out. The second one. Because if the second one is open within the kli inside, so then the tumah goes in for the outside. But if it's sticking out, it's you have to talk to. It's like more. So you see from here now, one thing you have to learn in this daf. It's hard to say, but it's like that's what it is. We're not comparing apples to apples exactly. It's just a conceptual. But don't you see over here that the Torah tells you that can have something which is not a cheres that stops a cheres? You just said something which is not the same mean cannot stop it. Something more no. Because even by a cheres, I do find something that cannot stop it. What is it? More brings two cases. Case number one is I have an oven, and within the oven I put a little wood wall in the oven. Doesn't do anything. The other case is a kaveris. I have a beehive. I don't think so. Because it has to be a kli within a kli. That's what you see from here. Rashi says clearly. Look at Rashi. Shechotzu ben Asarim. Shasa mechitza v'emtzoi v'chilko yad lemalo mipiv. The mechitza goes over the mouth. Hakol Tom. That's what it is. Now the kaver is talking about that you have a beehive, but the beehive is broken. It would be a full beehive, it would be a kli. A kli is a chatitza. But it's not a full beehive, it's just broken. So because it's not a full beehive, it looks like a regular chatitza. So even though you put straw in it, the straw doesn't stop because it's not a full kli. So you see that something which is not a kli cannot stop it. Now Reb Lozer argues. Reb Lozer says that it's a time. So Reb Lozer, what is my reason I hold it's okay? Right? Meaning, if when you have a chatzitza that separates from a mace, it is going to save you. So why should you not say b'kli cheres? If you look at Rashi, the first Rashi on the base, Rashi says mechitza b'meis achal u'boyer lameis. Shal mechitza mafsekes. By mace, the mechitza does work. Goes up, yeah. So by oil, mechitza works, makes it a separate room. So why b'kli cheres you don't say the same thing? I have a mechitza in between, it goes on top. So says the Gemara, Omrullah, at the end of the period daf, Im, when daf gimel base, hitzil b'meis achamur, sheken chaluka oyali, right? Because by mace, I'm looking for oil. Oil means a place where people live. People live, how do you separate between two rooms? You put a wall. A wall is separation. Tatzil b'kli cheres akal shein chaluki boyali. But by a kli, you don't put walls in a kli. So it depends what you're doing. If I'm dealing with an oil, so a wall works. If I'm not dealing with the oil, a wall doesn't work. So don't compare the two. That's what the Gemara says. That was a machlekes Rabbanan Reb Lozer. Do you say that some mechitza works? Says the Gemara, okay. So now let's go back to our sugya. So the Gemara, hateinach l'Rabbanon. According to Rabbanon, I understand. Why? Because you say that a wall doesn't work. But the Reb Lozer, Michael, and Reb Lozer holds that a wall does work. Says the Gemara, Reb Lozer says because you have a kavachomer. And all those are forced to do it, even though I usually can't. As Rashi says, in other words, if you have something which is not its mean, it won't ruin it. So Gemara wants to bring this concept. You see something which is a different type, couldn't it stop it and ruin it? And the Gemara says, well, it doesn't work usually, except if I have a kavachomer. So let's go back to our sugya. Person has chatos, and he thinks of chatos to be an oila. Chatos thinks it's oila, so he ruins it. He thinks of chatos to be a chulin, doesn't ruin it. Why? Lav mino. So what about kavachomer? Kochi michal and kochi. If I talk from chatos to oila, he ruins it. Chulin lekol sheken. So of course, chulin should ruin it. If kochim, which is hegdish, so chulin it won't. So if you tell me the kavachomer takes away the concept, so why does it not take away the kavachomer by kochim and chulin? Kala time of the Rav kabbalos. The reason Rav is like kabbalos don't Rav Lozer. My time with the Rav v'loichalu is kochim neYisrael es asher yarimu laHashem. It's not a svar. It's a pasuk. The pasuk says loichalu it's kochim neYisrael asher laHashem. So you dash it from here. Kochim michal and kochim and chulin michal and kochim. The pasuk tells you that the kochim michal and kochim. What is michal kochim? Only asher yarimu laHashem. Only kochim. Only something which is kodesh can ruin kodesh. So which is not kodesh cannot. So lechal kochim Yisrael is asher yarimu laHashem. Kochim michal kochim chulin kochim. It's successful kochim. Something was almo also crow after bekavachomer. So what do you say? Even though basic kavachomer, you should tell me that chulin should ruin it. Kochim ruins it. Of course, chulin ruins it. But he's saying the pasuk tells me otherwise. So I take away the kavachomer. So So also the word toichoy should take away the kavachomer. Which toichoy? Because it says we learn toichoy v'loy toichoy. But mechitza is not, right? So why don't you say it? Torah takes it away. Meaning, the word toicha tells you toichoi, v'lo toicha. That's what we learned. The kli b'toch kli saves. You say, okay, that's only kli b'toch kli. But if it's a mechitza, not. Why? Because I have a kavachomer. Why don't you say the pasuk takes away the kavachomer? If I have a way to dash from the pasuk toichoi and not beyond the mechitza, so learn the kavachomer. Take away the kavachomer for the pasuk. Right? Okay, so he says the Gemara, Hai Toicho, we have a different drush of Toicho. Baile le'oichlim shegiblon betit v'yichnisom la'avir tam. Talk about a food that was covered in clay, cement, and tar. It's completely sealed. And you put it into the oven. If I touch it, you won't be tummy. Why? Because it's sealed. It's closed. The food that's fully covered. So maybe it won't be tummy about viewer. That's why I need toicha. So don't you tell me toicha is extra part. I need extra word toicha to teach you this. It's not extra. I need for something else. I need to tell you that even though when the food is completely covered, it still gets tuma. For I don't need a plastic for that. Rashi says we see for toicha different drushes, so I don't need that. Just to mention that the word toichoi, what Rashi explains, the first Mandamar said that the word toichoi, we chose to put it dafka on the kli and not the mechitza. But why? Because I have a kavachomer. Why? Because the pasuk. I could choose the kavachomer against it. If you want to see Loshen Rashi, in the question of the Gemara, Kroy Yisir Dashin Lekavan Toich V'Lo Toich Toich. The Kalmar is given the parentheses, Misvar D'Lo Yimayit El Toich Kli, Ava Mechitza La Mino Leisa Le Jabuli Ila Mishu Kavachomer. The Imam HaKavachomer is Toich V'Lavki. The Toich is take away the kavachomer. The Mayat Toich Toich Mechal the Toich Lo Yom Tomi. The Mechitzo Matzlo Lam Lekol Mutul Toich Toich. If I know that the whole thing inside is matzah toicho, if you have mechitzos toicho, I don't need it. Okay, so anyway, what is he saying? He's saying I have an extra word over here that I don't need. So well, you're right. I need the extra word. You know what I need it for? To tell you that if the food is completely sealed, it still gets stuma from the oven. Rabbanan said I don't need it. Why Rabbanan said I don't need it? The Rashi says Hi Bob Yisir, the Dorish command, Lemut Toichoi, Loitzach Kal Rabinu. You learn from something else. So we can say the machlokes is, do I need the extra word or not? But you're right. If I have a way, if I have an extra pasuk to take away kavachoyim, I think I say the pasuk. But if I have a tadash for the pasuk, I don't take away the pasuk. I stay with the kavachoyim. Says the Gemara. Rabbi Yosef Bar Ami Rami Shinu Kodesh Shinu Bailim Umishani. He asked the question, another question. Shinu Kodesh Shinu Bailim. Now what's a Shinu Kodesh Shinu Bailim? Now we learned in the first daf. Shinu Kodesh is when a person says Chatos will be an oilam. Shinu Kodesh. I'm changing the korban. Bailim is I'm taking a korban of Mendi and I'm saying it's going to go to Sruli. I'm taking the wrong owner. That I can't do.
This is before the Hakara.
Yeah. We learn if you do chatos, l'shem chatos, it's kosher. That's a quote to the more later. If I have a chatos, l'shem chatos, it's going to be kosher. What's going to be the chatos? Which chatos?
Is there a kapara?
What do you mean two chatos? So Rashi brings over here. Let's say a person has two chatos. One chatos he has to bring for chaylev, and the other chatos he has to bring for dam, bring blood, as we saw in Horus. And he brought a chatos, l'shem chatos. I mean, he changed it. He brought it for the wrong purpose. It's kosher. It's kosher. But if he did l'shem oila, plus, and we know. Now we saw the whole time. Almo, now we're doing a different diuk from before. Exact opposite diuk. Again, this is all. I have to say, it's not apples to apples. It's like more of a what it's derived from it. Alma de la mino machibo, de mino lo machibo. Meaning, I'm only ruining the korban with oilo, which is different than chatos. I'm not ruining it with another chatos. Chatos shem chatos is good because it's mino, same in. Chatos shem oilo is not good. Like the opposite of what we said before. The Omar asks the question. If you have Reuben and Shimon, Reuben has to be a chatos, and Shimon has to be a chatos. He brought the chatos of Reuben for Shimon. That it's possible because you have the psul of the wrong bind. But if Reuben is chayav chatos, Shimon doesn't have to be a chatos. All he has to bring is an oilo. And he said bringing chatos for Shimon. It's a joke. It doesn't have to be a chatos. Meaning it's a lav mino. He has no sheiches to chatos. Almo de bar mino machibo the la mino lo machibo. So again, the exact opposite of before. If I'm doing for someone who's chayav chatos, that ruins it. I took a chatos and I used it for the wrong purpose. I think a chatos giving someone as oila, he has nothing to do with the chatos. It doesn't ruin it. So it's mamish the opposite. Umeshani says the Gemara also. V'shuchat oisol lechatos o machmono v'arichatos shuchatos nishchatos. It's a pasuk. The pasuk says v'shuchat oisol lechatos. Do it for chatos. I did it for chatos. Nah, you did it for the wrong chatos. That's fine. The Torah did not tell you which specific chatos. You have to do for the right owner, not the wrong owner. He needs to have the same kapar. If he's not mechuyev, you're comparing him to his friend. It has to be all of la chaveru, the him and chaveru are standing in the same position. So in other words, you want to derive from here this concept of mino, la mino. It's Yechezkel. So the pasuk tells me. Rav Chavivo, Rami Shinu Bailim Atoch Toicho Mishani. Now we're going back, connecting the end to the beginning of the story. Shinu Bailim we just mentioned. Someone goes and does a korban of Reuven for Shimon. That's Shinu Bailim. Toich Toicho is the tumah that we mentioned beginning of the sugya when you have two kelim. If I take a korban of Reuven, did it for Shimon, so then it's possible. If Shimon is chayav chatos, if Shimon is not chayav chatos, it's not. It has to be dafka demino. Alma demino machibo lamir lo machibo. Again, the same conclusion that we had throughout the sugya. Ve'atanyo toicho v'lo toich toicho after the klishet matzil. Back to our first sentence of the sugya. If I have a kli within a kli, so the second kli stops the tumah, even though it's not a kli cheres. So you see, even something which is not the same thing stops it. Umishani arbo toicho ksivi. It says toicho 4 times. Why 4 times? Toich toicho toich toicho. I mean, it says toicho twice, And every time you could have said toich, it says toichoi, extra vav. Right? That's the psukim. It says the kol klicheres sheipel me'emel toichoi, kol asher betoichoi itmol v'yisez ishborim. So the word toichoi says twice, and every time it says an extra vav, toichoi. So I have 4. I have 4. So we shani abot l'ksivi. Toich. What do you do with the 4? Chad the goofy. 1 toichoi is to tell you that whatever's within the kli gets stomach. V'chad l'gzer shava. What do you have to do with gzer shava? Rashi says that the sheretz is metam in the kli even though you didn't touch it. That's even from the gzer shava. That not only the things in the kli become tamei, but even the sheretz, which is in the air, is metam.
Why should it be different?
What? Avi kli becomes tamei. I know avi kli does too. In other words, if I have a sheretz in the kli sitting down, and I have a food in the kli, it becomes tamei. I don't know if the sheretz is in the air of the kli. Then you'll gzer shava. Right? That's your little chulin. Okay. Cha toicha shel zeh v'lo toicha shel acher. Meaning, toicha v'lo toicha has to be only what's within the kli. If I have another kli over here, that kli stops it. Doesn't matter if it's made out of clay or not. What? Right? Idach toich. Sorry. Toicha v'lo toicha shel acher. V'idach toicha v'lo toicha b'kli het matzah. Two limudim over here. So one is that the first limud is that this idea that the air space causes tumor is only by clay, not by a metal clay. Metal clay has to touch it, but the fact that it's in the air doesn't make it touch. It has to touch it, not tumas avir. Tumas avir in the air space is only by klicheres. So that's the third toich. The fourth one to tell you toich v'lo toich. If I have a kli within a kli, it takes it away. Look at last Rashi in the Amud. The main thing was to tell you that if I have another kli over here, the tumor doesn't penetrate. Not only if it's a clay, even klishat, even metal. Why? The ilimut klicheres. We were told to go to klicheres. Shivutechetanu people malu piatanu sheyatzil ha'oichim shivuteichoi. Then it's going to save whatever is inside the kli. Not believe what you say. Lemuto. But you have to tell me another extra book. Lichtav kol asher betoich yitvo. I'll say whatever is inside Tomei. If I have one clay into another clay, Turn told me whatever is inside you becomes Tomei. This is not inside it. Why should we become Tomei?
What if it overflows?
But by Klishatim I have a problem. Why? Because Klishatim you could say the Svar of Rava. What's a Svar of Rava? It's not La Mina. It's a different Kli. Maybe Cheres can block a Cheres, but metal cannot block a Cheres. Does it cost? It does. So the Gemara comes when one is trying to take out. Do we have here a rule that what could ruin something else is only the same min, and whatever is a different min cannot ruin it, or maybe vice versa? Maybe the raya, if we want to bring Mishina Bailim, is the opposite. That whatever could ruin it is only something which is not the same min. Same min is not ruined. And the Gemara in each one of the cases says no. Each one has a reason. It's either it's a kosuf, or it's a kavachomer, or it's something else. If I don't have it, so the Gemara according to Hartman and the end of Mamudalef, if I have just a wall, the wall won't stop it because it's a different thing. So really, the Gemara is trying to come to a conclusion. Every time the Gemara tries to bring a method of how these things work, the Gemara says it's not alright. That's basically what it is. So again, this is one. What do you mean first third? But the third one is only by clay, but not other clay. Not other clay. Oh, this counts of the ear. It's only by toicha, not another clay. The second and the third. First. Now, again, we said this daf to understand really the logic of every one of this concept is very difficult. It's one of the hardest daf in Masechet Zevachim. So when we go into Masechet Zevachim, right away in the beginning, you start that base, like Shmak, Daf Gimel, they give you like a little bit of a, try to figure out the Svar over here. And then you go back to regular Zevachim. So we went through it. We had the schus of the Siyum to go on and to go through it, at least get a little bit of a picture of the method of the Mahalach here and the Gemara. Tomorrow. What do you mean?
Good to see him again.
It's very nice. Baruch Hashem. Baruch Hashem. It was
Nice enough to cover.